Okay, we are now live on YouTube. So whenever you're ready, Roger.
Thank you very much indeed. Welcome everybody to this meeting of Liss Parish Council. Can I first hear apologies, please?
Yes, we only have apologies from Councillor Finn.
Right, okay. We have one or two other absentees, but we'll see if they join us in due course on that. Right, secondly, can I have declarations of interest? I will remind you of the format, and I will start off that I, Roger Hargreaves, am a parish councillor of Liss Parish Council. I confirm that I have read the agenda and have no interest to declare in any of the items being considered this evening. Right, okay. Keith.
Yeah, I'm Councillor Keith Budden. I'm present. I have read the agenda and I have no interest in declaring any items under discussion this evening.
Thank you very much. Sheila Baldwin. Sound.
I, Sheila Baldwin, am a member of Liss Parish Council. I confirm that I've read the agenda and I have no interest in any of the items to be discussed.
Okay, thank you very much. And am I right in thinking Rob isn't with us, but we don't have Jeanette either?
No, not at the moment.
No, okay. Nor Don Gerard?
No.
Nor Margaret Nibbs?
No.
Howard Lindsley?
Excuse me. My name's Howard Lindsley. I am a councillor of Liss Parish Council. I've read the agenda and I've no interest to declare.
Thank you very much. Leanne MacDonald.
I am Councillor Leanne MacDonald, a member of Liss Parish Council. I've read the agenda and have no interest to declare in any of the items under discussion this evening, save for the fact that I'm the chair of the review committee, which has items at number 9.
Thank you for that, Leanne. I don't think you need to declare chairman on that, but thank you for that anyway. Okay, Andy Smith.
I'm Councillor Andy Smith of Liss Parish Council. I have read the agenda and I have no interest to declare in any of the items this evening.
Thank you very much. Claire Williams.
I'm Councillor Claire Williams of Liss Parish Council. I've read the agenda and have no interest to declare in any of the items being discussed this evening.
Thank you very much. Nick Wilson.
I'm Councillor Nick Wilson, member of Liss Parish Council. I've read the agenda and have no interest to declare in any of the items being discussed this evening.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, item 3, Chairman's announcements.
What do you forgot, Jenny?
Oh, Jenny, I do apologise. I tell you
fine,
why.
You know.
No. This is.
So I'll just sit here and be forgotten. It's not a problem.
No, this is merely another manifestation of the incompetence of your chairman, who was reading names off an old list, and you hadn't actually made that list. Jenny Bennett.
Hi, I am Jenny Bennett. I'm a parish councillor for Liss Parish Council. I have read the agenda and I have no interest to declare on any item under discussion this evening.
Thank you very much.
I'll put myself back on mute now.
Yeah. Right. Chair's announcement. Firstly, rather sadly, I have to tell you all that Maggie Nibbs has resigned as the councillor.
Sorry,
this
Roger.
is because she has taken on, you just can't.
Hello, sorry, Roger. I'm having some difficulty hearing you. I don't know. I don't know if
you broke up. You broke up a little just as you started that sentence, Roger.
Oh, I broke up, did I?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I do apologise for that. Yes, I was saying rather sadly that Maggie Nibbs has resigned as a councillor. Is because she has taken on a new job and she feels that she hasn't got the time to be a councillor in the way that she'd anticipated. So I think we will all express her thanks for the work that she's done and our regrets that she's will be leaving us. It does mean that we will have to go through another recruitment process. Sarah will advertise. It will be done remotely. I think, though, that it will be an entirely new set of videos which are recorded for everybody to see, whoever applied to the post this time. Secondly, can I also tell you that Liz Ford, our finance officer, has also resigned. She has resigned because she has accepted the job of being clerk for Selborne, combining both the role of being the finance officer and the clerk. And it's certainly more convenient for her, and I think financially slightly better as well. So she'll be staying on certainly until May, and she will do her very best to try and finish what she's doing in terms of the introduction of a new finance system. We will have to advertise. Sarah, I know, is already looking at the job description along with Claire. And I think also for that post, and also I think to some extent for Sarah's, we do need to do a little bit of work to really assess the size of the job. Here we are as a council with a lot of ambition to take on a lot of projects, which I think is absolutely excellent. And I think the fact that we're so energetic is to be applauded. But a lot of the work associated with that does fall on the paid staff. And we really need to consider whether what we have at the moment is adequate, whether we can actually afford to enhance that staff or not. If we can't, we may have to return to the issue of are we being too ambitious or not? I hope we don't come to that. I'd rather look to see how we can do our best to accommodate what we want to achieve in the future. But certainly this is an opportunity to look at the finance officer's posts and take a view as to what's not just the detail of what it does, but its general scope and size. And I know that Sarah and Claire are both have been considering that issue. So thanks for that. Can I also draw your attention that we meet under legislation put out by, or regulations put out by the government, which has allowed meetings by video, by Zoom, for parish councils and other councils to be legal. However, those regulations expire on the 7th of May. It's not clear at the moment what may happen beyond that date, but it has certain effects upon us. We have what is our annual meeting due to take place on the 17th of May. And the advice, and that's very similar to what's happening in other councils, and the advice from Hauk is that in order to make sure that we do have an annual parish meeting at which we elect new chairman and people to other positions, that we bring forward the meeting that we would have had on the 17th of May to before the 5th. So that implies that we should have a meeting, before the 7th. And probably the best date is to actually have it on what would be, I think, Wednesday, the 5th of May. So there's a proposition that we have a meeting then, and that probably we can afford to cancel the normal meeting that we would have on the 19th of April. So certainly that's what we're looking at. And it may be that the government changes the position beyond the 7th of May, but it's certainly not clear at the moment what, if anything, they may do. And it is important to get an annual parish meeting in. So the proposal is that it should be held on the 5th of May. If anybody wants to comment on that, please do on that. That's the last of my announcements. Okay. Howard.
Yeah, so just clarification. If the government do come and say we're extending those, will we go back to the original date?
I think that maybe depend whether they do it. If they do it at the very last minute, the answer is probably no.
No, okay.
You know, once we advertise when we're going to hold the meeting, I think we are committing ourselves to do that. And after all, we're only bringing it forward 12 days, so it's not a drastic change. We'll have to see how it goes. Sarah, I know, is monitoring the position, as they say.
Yeah.
Nick's got his hand up.
Yeah, Nick.
I have my hand up for something completely different, if I may, before we finish.
Can I just finish this item off then? Andy, were you on this item?
I was just going to say that I believe that it's primary legislation change that's required to implement this. So it's very unlikely that it'll be extended given the time it takes to get primary legislation through Parliament. So I think it's probably better to plan as if we're going ahead as you've suggested, Chair.
Indeed. Thank you very much for that. Okay, Nick.
Yes, something quite different. Just to remind you that we have been very lucky to receive a donation of some free steel brackets for the hanging of baskets in the village, flower baskets, from a local business person. And I thought it would be nice to record our thanks to him. I think you were planning, Roger, to suggest a vote of thanks.
This is a sizable donation then, is it then? Because we do get donations from others during the course of the year.
It's something that we weren't expecting. These, I don't know what these steel brackets would have cost, but anyway, I thought it was good to recognise that Mr. Glover, who's the person's name, had made this donation.
Certainly, if it's out of the ordinary, then I'm sure we can give a vote of thanks to him. Is that all right with you, Sarah, as the one who manages Liss in Bloom and things associated with it? Right, okay, fine. Okay, let's take that then. Thank you very much. Right, can I move on then? Approval of the minutes of the meeting which took place on the 15th of February. First of all, anybody got any problem with them as a true and correct record?
Yeah, I wanted to ask 22-21
Yes.
on A.
Yes.
At the end, that paragraph, I did say that I felt the information should be on the opening page of Liss Parish Council's website, rather than have people specifically go into the COVID, have to click into the COVID page to see the COVID news. Because I felt it was important that people saw it as soon as the page came up.
Right. So you think the wording here is not right?
The first part of it is right, but then I came back and said that I felt that rather than people visiting the website and having to click into the COVID webpage before they saw that information, that it was so important, it really ought to be on the home page.
So you want a reference to make sure to the fact that you said it should be specifically on the home page, on the opening page. Sarah the clerk.
Yeah, it's just to say that there are difficulties with where we put the content. There are certain restrictions and how the website is built. So the way it works is we have the colourful brick with COVID on it that you click on to take you to the COVID information. But it's hard to completely rearrange the way the website is laid out. There are certain procedures and ways that has to be done. So it's not really. I did consider whether we could put the stay-at-home photo on where the photos are, but it seemed very late in the day to be putting that message on the homepage when we haven't to date, when things are likely to be relaxing soon.
Okay, yeah. Well, look, we're lapsing into content here, and I was only actually asking for accuracy of the minutes at this stage.
Okay.
It seems to me that Leanne MacDonald had raised the issue that she had specifically asked for it to be on the homepage. I take the point there may be difficulties, but in terms of recording what she said, then could we just correct that record, please? Any other items of accuracy? No, okay. In that case, can I have somebody moving approval of the minutes?
Howard,
Somebody seconding
Le-
it?
Leanne.
Thank you. All those in favour? Fine. Anybody against? Right. Let us go through matters arising. Right. Andy Smith.
I've just had matters arising on 25/21 approval of the village centre redesign brief. As part of the work to explore possible partners to work with, the working group that had been agreed with PRG met with Hampshire County Council on Friday via Microsoft Teams, and I think it's fair to say that we were impressed with the breadth of the professional knowledge that the team Hampshire could put on this, would bring to the work, and also some of the examples of their previous work, for example, Romsey Town Centre, which is something that they've worked on. So I just wanted to update colleagues on the meeting and bring in Councillor Williams and Councillor Wilson should they have any other reflections, and also just say that we'll now progress the work to kind of explore options and bring forward a recommendation to project review.
Thank you very much. Anybody want to add to that? Claire Williams.
Just to agree with Andy and to echo, they've done some really, really nice work on the Romsey Town Centre, and some of the work that they've done in Winchester as well was particularly interesting in the way that it's phased, so you can do a bit here and a bit there and pick from a menu of options and do them in whichever order is suitable and whenever funding becomes available for it. They were really impressive.
Good, thank you. Well, it's good to hear that. That's clearly a very possible, possibly even likely avenue to be pursued, but we're still early days. But I think we would all welcome that being looked at further. Thank you. Any other matters arising?
Sorry, could I just add to that, Chair?
Oh, sorry, Nick, you've frozen on my screen. Oh no, you've unfrozen.
Just to say, absolutely agree with Andy and Claire. I thought they were particularly strong on their transport planning expertise, which will clearly be very important for us. Am I still frozen?
No, you're moving.
Yeah.
I thought that it was good that they talked to us about the Hampshire Healthy Streets model, which I thought when they went into detail of the various indicators, that it would be very helpful in terms of what we're looking for. I was, like my two colleagues, very impressed.
Thank you very much for that. Okay. Any other comments on the minutes? Right. Thank you very much indeed. Let's move on. Update from the County Council. We have a written submission. I will draw your attention to it. Dated 1st of March. Russell is not present, but any comments or anything to be passed to Russell arising from his report?
I could just add that I've put the census information and the consultation on walking and cycling improvements to Petersfield on our social media.
Thank you very much indeed.
For support.
Okay, right. Thank you for that. Can I turn therefore to item 6, update from the district councillors? If I can turn to Keith Budden as the one who's
Yeah, thank
Keith.
you, Roger. Not really a great deal to report this month, really. I will re-emphasise what Russell put in his county council report about the census, that's this Sunday. So please don't forget to do it. That our last meeting in the last full council meeting of East Hampshire District Council, we approved our budget, and indeed the council tax bills have started going out. I have to say the budget debate was probably the most heated debate that I've had to chair in my 2 years of being chairman of East Hampshire District Council. But it all went well in the end. And yeah, unless anybody's the only other thing I will say as well is that the April meeting of East Hampshire District Council, which is in the calendar, has been cancelled because of the fact the county council elections are on, and that falls within the purdah period. And since a number of district councillors are standing as candidates in the county council elections from both parties, it was felt that it was safer by our head of legal that we didn't hold that council meeting, so that's been cancelled.
Thank you for that. Any questions or comments to Keith? Nick.
You're on mute, Nick.
Apologies. Wondered if you might like to say something about the East Hampshire District Council community projects funding, which I think is something that local groups within the parish might be interested in applying for.
Yes, I can do. Yeah, we have a fund of £1 million, which has been set aside, which is there available for community groups to make applications for. Applications are welcome from any community group, and we will be making decisions on those in April. So the time span to actually apply is quite short, but please do get your application in, and if you are, or if you're uncertain of any details, please either contact myself or contact the communities team at East Hampshire District Council. We'll be very pleased to help you and get the form out to any organisation who might be interested in applying.
I think it's worth noting that the particular priorities for the funding are very supportive of some items in our draft action plan for the year ahead. And with Sarah, we will publicise it through various social media outlets to try and get people aware of it.
Yeah, it would be good to see some applications in from Liss organisations, because obviously without the applications in, no funding will go to any Liss organisations. So please do get your applications in if you know of any organisations who might be able to benefit. Leanne, perhaps you can pass it on to the crossover, because they would be very welcome to make an application.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Right, that's good. Thank you very much indeed for raising that. Right, can I move on then to item 7, which is the Finance Officer's report on payments. Any comments on anything that you see there? Anybody wish to raise any questions? I think they are actually a fairly straightforward set of payments this month. Howard Lindsley.
Yeah, I might have missed something previous months. Childcare vouchers, what's the tale behind those?
Howard,
sorry, where is child?
It's the salary sacrifice scheme for myself to benefit from tax-free childcare.
Oh, okay. So the council has to pay for that, do they?
Sarah?
You're on mute, Sarah.
You're
No,
mute,
you're
Sarah.
mute, Sarah.
There's a small processing fee.
Where does the money come from?
60p is the 60p is the processing fee.
Yes.
But it's so my salary will be debited by £10 and the vouchers are purchased. So it's essentially my salary that's paying that £10 figure.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so,
Sorry,
so
Claire.
yeah, so the only cost of the council is actually the 60p. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. No, I wasn't complaining about it. I was just curious as to how it had happened.
Okay.
Sounds good anyway. Don't blame you.
Right. Thank you, Howard. Claire, were you going to add to that, or was it a different point?
I was going to add to it. I was going to say that the salary sacrifice scheme works in that Sarah will sacrifice X amount of her salary in order to pay for those childcare vouchers, and she gets the benefit of not having paid tax on the amount that is deducted from her salary without it costing the council anything.
Right.
So
So the
that's
benefit
why
is
it's a good deal.
individual.
Or the
Yeah.
60p.
Oh,
Yes.
for 60p.
Right. So the council's paid 60p to make that work. I think that's probably good value. Right. Thank you very much indeed. Any other comments? Right. Could I have somebody move adoption of the finance officer's report?
Claire,
Claire. Somebody to second that.
I'm happy to second that.
Yeah. Some
Yeah.
Keith seconding it. Right. All those in favour of adoption of the report?
Yeah, that's
All
everyone.
those against? Fine. Right. Thank you very much indeed. I've just had a little notice flash up on my screen that tells me my internet connection is unstable. So I don't know whether I'm going to go back or not. But it's certainly not a good connection tonight, I must say. Anyway, we'll see how we go. Right, let me move on then. Item 8, committee reports. Planning committee, can I turn to the chairman, Keith?
Yes, thank you, Roger. Yeah, the minutes have been circulated to everyone, so I'm happy to take any questions anyone might have on any of the minutes.
Sorry, Keith, only the first set of minutes have been circulated. The second set for March haven't yet been circulated.
Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, so the first set have been circulated for February. Sorry, I missed that. The second set for March haven't yet, so they'll be circulated next month, presumably for next month's meeting.
Right, okay. Okay, any questions for Keith? No? Right,
No,
thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
Report of the review committee. Leanne.
Yes, we had a meeting on the 3rd of February. The minutes have been sent to all committee members, but they're still in draft because obviously we haven't had our meeting look at them, but I think they're very accurate. And if anyone has any queries, they really need to be read in conjunction with the policies that have come out. But if anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to answer them if I can.
Okay, anybody got anything they wish to raise? No, thank you very much indeed then. Okay, thank you, Leanne.
Okay.
Item 9, to note the following policies. These are policies which have actually been approved by the review committee. And so they're really being put here for you to note and really draw them to your attention. However, obviously, if you wish to raise any query or question, you're very welcome to do so, primarily to Leanne as the chairman. Anything anybody wishes to raise?
Well, if I could just first say, Roger, that we've got 2 new policies, which are the Code of Conduct and the Dealing with Allegations. And these are from East Hampshire District Council, which as our parent council, we felt we had to follow rather than NALC. So they follow exactly East Hampshire District Council's wording, except for an appendix on page 7, where which we put in for clarification. Because some of the wording that East Hampshire uses, like cabinet model, we obviously at the parish council don't have. So for clarification, we've put in several points in the appendix.
Yes, just to explain for the benefit of new councillors or the new councillor here. Legally, if there's a query about conduct or disciplinary proceedings or something involving councillors, that is referred to the monitoring officer at East Hampshire District Council. That equivalent happens across the country. So really, we are obliged to have the same sorts of policies as East Hampshire does. Otherwise, it gets very confusing indeed. It's not a big issue because they're pretty much standard types of policies that you would expect from any a local authority, I think, in terms of what is acceptable behaviour or not, and how it might be investigated. So that's why we start with what East Hampshire does. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Thank you very much. Item 10, a motion relating to a watering system. Can I turn to Councillor Nick Wilson, who will explain everything?
Colleagues will know that we have over the years supported a group called Liss in Bloom, a group of volunteers who in normal years produce a fantastic display of blooms around the village and spend a lot of their time having planted them in watering until the system collapsed. We had an automatic watering system on the Lower Mead Tesco's building. Unfortunately, it degraded and became redundant, and the volunteers were having to do this manually. As they pointed out to us, they are finding that quite onerous, not least because a number of them are of my sort of age or rather older, perhaps, and have applied
Not
to
all
us.
of them.
Sorry?
Not all of them.
I said some, yeah. Very precise.
Dangerous territory here, Nick. Press on.
I'm trying to explain so that the punchline is we couldn't possibly refuse to spend £445 of SIL funding to reinstate, to get a new watering system, which will only require a tap to be turned on for the watering to happen. I think given the support for this, these very beautiful flowers in the village from local people, this will be money well spent. As it happens, from the SIL funding that we had, we still have a sum of money available, having paid most recently for the Petanque terrain at Liss Forest, and therefore I would like to move this motion that we use the SIL funding to buy a new watering system. Do you want me to read out the motion at some stage?
I will when you come to actually move it. I think reading it once is probably sufficient, and that's the moment. Anybody got any questions or comments?
Howard?
Howard.
Yeah, okay. A couple of questions. You said all it needs is a tap to be turned on. Can we assume that that will be done automatically on some sort of clock? The alternative is it remains for somebody to remember to do it. And the second question, is what about the shops along where Jade News is? Are we, we have hanging baskets there. How are they going to get watered? Or will we put something over the road?
Thank you very much, Helen. I have the clerk, Sarah, with her hand up to answer your first point. Sarah?
Sorry, yes, so there are 14 baskets above the Tesco block, including VistaVision, and they are the only baskets that will be served by the new watering system, because there is capacity on the building to have that. Unfortunately, the rest of the baskets will need to be watered manually still with the Bowser. So it would only it'll be a partial manual system still going forward.
But can I have an answer to the point as to whether there's a timer for switching the tap on and off?
Yes, there'll be a timer. A timer will be installed at the tap on installation, and that's covered in the cost. And it will need taking down at the end of the year, and that's it. So nothing will need to be done apart from taking the time off the system at the end of the year. It will stay up and control the water flow for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. Leanne.
I've just got 2 points. There is already a tap on the side of Tesco, but it's very, very high up. Is that going to remain, or is that going to be part of the system?
It is, yes, that's where the water will feed from. So when it's put up, obviously, it does require a ladder, but there's a reason for that being quite high, so that other people don't mess with the water supply. So it is at a certain height for a reason. But yes, that is the one that's going to be used.
Right, okay. The other point was it really an answer to Howard's question, because I've been one of the volunteers for the last 2 or 3 years, and the hanging basket in Station Road outside Jade's News, they all be watered on the ground using the Bowser and this, the stick that it goes up. But the ones outside of Tesco and the other shops along that little strip are very, very high, and it can be quite dangerous standing on top of the ladder to try and water them. You can't reach them from standing on the ground. Very difficult.
Yes, but they're the ones that are going to be part of the water system, aren't they?
Yes, but the other one can be watered from the ground by most people.
Okay.
So you don't have to use a ladder.
Any other comment? I would also say, sorry, Howard. And then
Yeah,
Sheila.
I was just going to say, has anybody investigated the possibility of having a system outside Jade News, the hardware shop, etc.? Because it means people have still got to turn up. And my understanding is that they, at the height of summer, get watered every day or every 2 days at least. And I was wondering if there'd been any investigation as to whether one of the shopkeepers would allow their water to be used.
If I could respond, we haven't been asked for that. I'm interested if you, Councillor Lindsay, would like to investigate, but this is the request that's been put to us for the reasons that Leanne has described, i.e. it is very difficult to do it from the ground. No doubt we could consider going further at some time in the future, but it would require a shop with a tap, which would have to be installed. For the purpose of this motion, we're talking about the Lower Mead building.
Okay.
Okay, that we can pass the comment back to Liss and Bloom, though, for them to think about, but I don't think it affects the motion in front of us. Sheila.
Well, sorry, I just want to ask a very stupid question. I don't know where these hanging baskets are. I'm sure I've seen them, but I've not really noted them. Just to go back to what Howard said, what time are they watered? Because do people walk underneath these baskets when they're being watered, or are they watered at night time so nobody's going to be affected?
they're normally watered, Sheila, sort of very late afternoon in the summer, sort of when the sun's past its peak, sort of late afternoon, early evening. And
So,
people see that we are watering them. So
people know to get out of the way.
yes. Yeah, they get
I would say, Sheila, that come this summer, look out for them. They are very.
I will.
We get a lot of favourable comment on them. People certainly they add a lot to the village centre.
Just don't walk underneath them. Yes.
This is true. This is true. But one of life's smaller hazards, I think. Okay. Any other comment? I'll just add one before we turn to the motion. I'll just make one further comment, just so you're aware. Liss Bloom has not been able to do very much over the last year, but of course is now hoping to do much more this year. We're looking to see how we can give greater support to Liss Bloom as a group. They do need stronger, younger people, possibly, but also we just need to make sure that we get our financial arrangements and the way we support them in managing their finances for them right. So we have started a bit of a dialogue with Liss Bloom about how we can enhance the way they operate in the future. I'm not implying any drastic change, but we just need to help Liss Bloom grow and look to the future and to make sure that we're providing a proper financial base in which they operate, because we manage effectively their finances for them. So we need to make sure that that's done in the right way. So I have nothing to report as such, other than we do have a dialogue going. Can I now turn to the motion, and can I turn to Nick? Do you have somebody to second this motion? Somebody to second it? Andy. Yeah. Nick, would you care to present the motion?
Yes, the motion is that Liss Parish Council allocates SIL Community Infrastructure Levy funds available to fund a watering system for the hanging baskets above the Tesco block for the sum of £445, subject to formal approval from the owner of the block for installation, with any subsequent maintenance to be carried out by Liss Parish Council, and approval is also subject to approval from Tesco's, who supply the tap which would feed the watering system.
Thank you very much. All those in favour of the motion?
Yeah.
Anyone against? Right. Thank you very much indeed, everybody. Right. Let me move on to item 11, a motion from the Chair of Finance. Claire.
Hello, everyone. So the Finance Committee met in the beginning of November, I believe it was the 2nd of November, and one of the items that we discussed was the financial risk assessment, which is reviewed with the internal auditors in conjunction with the RFO in advance of the budget setting for the year. And this year has included some extra bits and pieces to take into consideration the effect of COVID-19 on the next year's budget. The risk assessment was passed by the Finance Committee unanimously, and it's now presented to you as a full council for your review and approval, please.
Okay. Any comments?
Leanne?
Leanne?
Yeah. 2.1. It states that the financial regulations were reviewed to address the new NALC model regulations. We're actually still waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, they'll be reviewed in the next Finance Committee meeting that we have.
Yes, but we can't actually put that in there, that final review and approval by full council pending, because it hasn't been to Finance Committee.
I will defer to Sarah in this instance and say that this is the financial risk assessment that we reviewed and approved at the Finance Committee meeting, and you were there, Leanne. So do we have to now review this again before it can be submitted to the full council for review.
Can we have some sort of compromise here? It simply needs to be seen by the Finance Committee. Do we have a date for that meeting?
On 26th of April.
Can we just not put in words like subject to approval by the Finance Committee on the 26th of April?
The only thing this has been approved by the Finance Committee, it was approved on the 2nd of November last year. So can we put something in subject to review of clause 2.1 at the next Finance Committee meeting?
Just 2.1, yes. So can we say subject to review of clause 2.1 by the Finance Committee at that meeting?
Yeah.
Can we check that we actually did review them? Because I don't think we did review them in November.
I'm looking at the minute right now.
Okay.
Right, okay, as long as it was seen then, that's fine. So it was seen up until that point, but the final review by the Finance Committee has to wait until the April meeting.
Okay.
If we could just simply say it's subject to that, and it just tidy up the wording there, so we're being absolutely accurate. And once that meeting is passed, and on the assumption it's approved, then that particular bit of wording will then become simply redundant.
Okay, so shall I, can we amend the wording of the motion to say the Liss Parish Council approves the updated financial risk assessment following annual review by the Finance Committee and the inclusion of the COVID-19 considerations subject to I've lost my words.
Subject to clause 2.1 approval at the Finance Committee of 26th of April.
Thank you, Keith.
Yes, so those words could be added in, and that just there is, I'm sure, absolutely no need to go right back to the beginning on this. So let's just make sure that we've got a way of capturing that. If by chance the Finance Committee doesn't approve it, then we will have to relook at it again. But let's not be too pessimistic about that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for raising that, Leanne. Anybody else? Any other comment? Right. Okay.
Oh, Nick's got his hand up.
Nick, sorry, I can't see you there.
Yeah, just a different point. Reverting back to the issue or our colleagues in Liss in Bloom, I just think that maybe when we look at this risk assessment again, once we've had our discussions with the Liss in Bloom group and agreed the future arrangements for helping to manage their funding, we might want to add in an item on that. I know that they're particularly keen that we record all the donations that come in for them, and that they know exactly how much is available to them. So I'm just putting down a marker maybe for when we have done those discussions.
We'll certainly keep it under consideration, but this financial risk assessment is as agreed with the internal auditors, and I'm not sure favouring Liss in Bloom over any of the other project pots that we have sitting around is going to be something that they'll be interested in. We can certainly make some kind of consideration for the way the funds in general are being managed, though.
Yes, what I would suggest is part of a very slightly wider picture here. We're aware of the need just to confirm precisely the position of Liss in Bloom in terms of our insurance, for example, and I think in general terms to the way they're covered for risks, and that will also obviously include any financial risk. So as we go through our dialogue with Liss in Bloom, there are just one or two loose ends there, I think, which are worth picking up, which may feed through to something on the financial risk assessment. Is that okay? Right, okay. Is there somebody who's going to second you, Claire? Who would second this motion? Andy Smith? Right, okay. We've already had this motion read with the addition of the words that it's still subject to the Finance Committee on the 22nd of April. So all those in favour of adopting this motion, please show. Thank you.
Yeah, that's everyone.
Item 12. Again, for the benefit of new members, when we meet face to face, we've always typically had a couple of items on our agenda in which councillors have reported feedback on any outside bodies to which they've been appointed, and they let us know what's been happening. And also a general item here, matters of concern. Outside bodies, on the basis that if there's anything important, people can always circulate that by writing. But I think as we move through time and we're getting better at managing these meetings, then we reinstated the item 12, matters of concern. It's a catch-all which allows any councillor to raise any matter that they feel they wish to raise. And normally one goes round the table on this, but I won't go round the table as such. I will simply ask in general, is there anybody who wishes to raise anything?
Can I raise one, Roger, actually?
Oh, go on then.
I'm not sure whether it's land that falls under our ownership or under Newman Tollard Plainfield Trust, and forgive me, I should have checked this with Sarah earlier, but I forgot. But at the weekend, I had a look along behind where the footpath goes up behind the trees at the far side of Newman Tollard. So from the edge of the play area, it goes up behind the trees, and there's in a sense a de facto BMX track which has been developed there. I assume it's been done totally without permission, but some of the holes in the BMX track are very deep. I mean, one of the holes by one of the jumps, if I was to get in that hole, it would probably come up to my shoulders. So you know, and my concern is that obviously danger to people doing BMX, but also danger to anyone else who may just stumble into one of these holes. And also further along from there, there is a abandoned sofa and quite an amount of rubbish which appears to have been fly tipped into that site. And again, I think if we could get something to look at that, if that is our land, or if we can notify Newman Tollard if it's not our land but it's theirs.
Thank you very much for that.
Where is it, Keith?
It's you know where the Newman Tollard play area is, children's play area. Behind there's a path that goes up, that actually goes up to what was used to be called, well, is the field that comes out to the other end of Inwood Road.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And somebody there has made a BMX track.
Okay.
But as I say, some of the dips on the BMX track are very deep.
Yeah, very rough.
Okay. Can we just investigate exactly what land that is on? I think we need to do that as the first step. I suspect it'd probably involve us talking to the trust anyway on that. But let's take the first step, and then we can have a conversation with the trust about what, if anything, needs doing about it. I mean, you actually raised two issues there, because one was about the degradation of the land and dangers there, but secondly, people were dumping rubbish and litter and so on.
Yeah. As I say, there's quite a large amount of litter, and as I say, an old sofa which appears to have just been abandoned there.
Okay, let's take that away and then we'll have a look at it. Is that okay, Sarah, if we just check first?
Yes, of course. I'm pretty certain it is trust land, but I won't double check.
I thought it might be trust land, yeah.
Even if it is trust land. Yeah. Well, it's still worth a dialogue with the trust though about it.
Yeah. It depends probably what the service level agreement says, and it's a new one, and I'm not sure.
I think he's absolutely silent on the subject.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, fairly confident of that. Okay, anybody else got anything they wish to raise? Okay, well, thank you very much indeed. Let me move on to the exempt item and the approval of the exempt minutes. slightly unusually, one of the subjects of the minutes, Jenny, is actually sitting here. But it seems to me rather daft to actually exclude her since she's fully aware of his contents already. So if you don't mind, I'm not intending to exclude Jenny from this at all. But we do stop the broadcast at this point.